Hello, everybody.
Hello.
We are back with another episode. We're really excited about this one because we are big fans of setting goals and having a vision for your life and dreaming big. And something that often gets in the way of enjoying the process and also being very present in it is having specific expectations. So, this entire episode today, we're dedicating to expectations versus intentions and talking about the difference between the two, giving you some concrete examples, and then sharing exactly what a difference it can make to focus more on the intentions rather than the expectations. So, first of all, Lauren, why don't you tell us what, like a brief description of expectations versus intentions?
So, an expectation you guys have to think is going to be just you focus on the destination or a belief or something you just are wanting to end. Like that's what your end goal is, that's what you're expecting. On intention is going to be something while you more focus on the journey. Like, what are you going to be doing to apply to get to your end goal or to the end of your journey? Or what are you doing day to day to make sure you hit the expectation you want? Because expectations aren't bad. That's the thing you guys have to keep in mind. But the expectation can trip you up when all you see is, I need to be the richest person in the world, but how are you going to be there? If you only expect that and there's nothing in between that, you have to still remember, like, you have to hit every part of your journey, every chapter, every step that comes with it. And it's going to take you having intentions day by day, week by week, month by month, for all those to add up to get you to where you want to be, essentially. So,
yeah, have been up until we talked about this, just Lauren and I, a little bit unclear on, are expectations okay to have? We talked about certain expectations being like, there are certain things that we expect because we just like the sun coming up the next day. We just expect that to happen. There's nothing inherently wrong with expecting that. But I think that the trouble comes in when we get super tied to expectations. And that's where our focus goes rather than our part in things, which really is in the intention piece of it. Do you agree?
oh yeah, and that's where people honestly trip up, is they have such high expectations from themselves or somebody else or whatever it is that they get very disappointed very easily, and then they get frustrated and want to start over, or they don't even want to start over by any means, or they don't even realize maybe they're so frustrated not hitting their expectation that all these people are helping them get there, but they're not even noticing it. It's like having an expectation with the wrong intention can not allow you to have the expectation you want. So we want to dive in on basically how to set intentions to have your expectations, though, because you need that end goal, obviously, but also just knowing the difference and how to use them in your day-to-day life and how to talk about them and set them and make sure you're setting yourself up to do and be and act and feel all the things that you want in your day-to-day life and those around you. So Kendra, I want you to tell me, though, actually, I want you to explain, I guess, what it means to you to have like an expectation and intention, because we both see it differently and explain it differently. So I think this is good that we hear both sides.
Yeah, well, I love the way the issue started with, it's an expectation is a focus on the end, the destination, and the intention focuses on the journey. So I think about, to give a concrete example of an expectation versus an intention, if you have a vacation planned and you have an expectation that it's going to go smashing, like you're going to get there right on time. There's not going to be any delays in the plane or, the travel, whatever that travel looks like. And everybody's going to get along and everything you have planned is going to go perfectly the way that you mapped it out. Now, again, the expectations often lend themselves to, well, so like if you plan an itinerary, that could very easily lend itself to an expectation of a certain outcome, right? But if you're like, I'm creating this itinerary because my intention is to get the most and make the most out of this time with my family or my friends or myself or in this place. I want to get the most out of it. I want to really be present in it. I don't want to waste time. Like, what should we do? So that's why I've made this itinerary. So if the expectation is you're going to do everything on the itinerary and it's going to go smashingly well, there's not going to be any, whatever, it's going to be an amazing time. And then you get there and the days are rainy and you can't go to the beach, you can't go on these hikes, you are going to be very disappointed. But if you were like, revisit your intention, my intention is to be really present in this. Perhaps you go out and dance in the rain, or perhaps you're like, that's okay because we can still, like, first of all, we're experiencing this tropical rainstorm right now, whatever. So an expectation is a being married and really relying to, or married to and relying on a specific outcome, whereas an intention is the why behind it. Like, why and the how. Like, how am I going to make this happen? And why do I want it to happen? So now that we're a little more clear on intentions versus expectations, and a little more clear on why it could be really helpful to set intentions instead of having expectations and relying on those, let's talk about, give a more concrete how to set intentions. So, Lauren, if you have a goal for a specific outcome, what would be the process that you would set up for a client or for yourself to create the expectation, or excuse me, to create the intention behind it and through it?
Okay, so we're just gonna do like an at-home relationship. Okay, let's say I want Tony. I'm expecting him to always know to unload the dishwasher when it says clean, because we have one of those magnets, right? But I'm expecting him to always do that and keep the sink clean and to organize all the dishes and like make sure everything's picked up when he's done. But I can expect that and just be like, you unload the dishwasher. Okay, if I just say you unload the dishwasher, there is no, that I'm wanting this really high expectation of everything completely organized, all the dishes put away, sink wiped out, dried out, all this stuff, but he has no communication or how to or what I'm expecting. So I'm like, okay, I love a clean kitchen, because that's honestly, a little tangent, a clean kitchen is my favorite thing. I love a clean kitchen, a clean sink, and all that put together now. And we talked about it, and my intention to get that expectation and make sure we're on the same page is I really need to work on communicating. So my intention would be to communicate. I need to communicate with him, hey, when you put dishes away, like, make sure to do this, this, and this. And when I load the dishwasher, I'll make sure to do this, this, and this. They all get cleaned, and so on and so forth. And then we'll flip our little magnet to clean. So once it runs through, he knows when to unload and do his part. So our intention was both to communicate and make sure we're on the same page, to make sure it's a clear expectation of what we're both wanting, but also just communicating. So our intention there, my intention was to communicate with him clearly so I get what I'm wanting. As funny as that sounds terrible, but to get what I'm wanting in the kitchen, also so he understands what he wants as well. That's a very simple way to put it, just like having the intention to communicate and communicate clearly, because that's where a lot of people trip up, just in a simple at-home situation. It's like, you were supposed to take out all the trash. Well, how would I have known that if you didn't communicate with me what it means to clean the kitchen at the end of the day? I didn't know that. And so it's like taking the time to have the intention to communicate, hey, this is what we're thinking. I'm going to make sure to communicate to him, make sure he understands and I understand. And now everyone's happy. And the expectation is set already that you have a clean kitchen. And it's easy. And it's simple. So it's taking things and realizing you can take a simple situation at home. Even if you have kids, if you just tell them like, hey guys, we're going to all work on picking up together. Okay, at the end of the day, we're going to spend 10 minutes. Everyone pick up. We're all going to do it. We're all going to clean, put on some music. Kendra does this. I know you do. You put on some music and you all clean and do. And it's like, okay, now your intention is obviously you're going to communicate with them. You're going to show them responsibility. You're showing them how easy it is to pick up and just do and have fun with it, while your expectation is a clean home, and you're still getting that because you've done all the front work and now your home is clean and you don't have to hammer anybody to get what you're wanting at the end of the day for your home to be clean and to feel good for your family.
Yeah. Well, and I would even argue that my intention is to have a clean home. Like you're just like, your intention is to have a clean kitchen. Like, what I want is to have a clean kitchen. That's what I intend to have. The expectation that came in was that Tony wants the same thing. And that he'll do the dishes if they need to be done. And In my home, and this is definitely something you'll run into in your relationships. Like, my intention
Mhm.
is to have a clean home. My intention is to have XYZ in my relationship. My
Mhm.
expectation is that everybody else either already knows that's what I want and or wants the same thing. So I oftentimes will put stuff on the stairs for my kids. And my expectation sometimes is that they'll see it on the stairs and they'll just know that that means that goes upstairs because it's on the stairs. But that's oftentimes not the case. Oftentimes they don't even, I don't know if they notice it and totally ignore it. That's very much so a possibility. But either way, my expectations not met, and I can get really irritated and feel like so unseen, and I've set myself up for failure in that situation, right? Whereas if my intention is for that stuff to go up, my intention is to have a clean home. I want that stuff to go upstairs. So all I need to do is take the expectation out of it and just communicate. So the the way to set an intention is to figure out what the overarching goal is. So how a house having a clean house is a really good one. My intention is to have a clean home. And then you set little mini intentions, and it's like for yourself. It's like if I want a clean home, then I'm going to do something today to make sure that it feels picked up. Instead of I'm going to make sure my kitchen and my house, we've talked about this in past episodes, right? Where you can very easily set yourself up for failure if life gets in the way. But setting mini intentions, I'm going to do something today to clean up and pick up a little bit. And my other little mini intention is I'm going to communicate with my family that this is my goal so that they can step in and help as well. So then it becomes this collaborative teamwork experience rather than you just assuming something, assuming an outcome, assuming a teammate type of connection or whatever that might look like in your situation. And you instead just put in the effort and uh, take your responsibility in it, you know?
Mhm. Mhm. This can go at like work too. It's like you have to go in with the intention of like being communicative or you being a team player or you not. And it's like, because everyone's expecting a big outcome at work or whatever you're doing, or even a group project. Everyone's expecting and has a very high expectation of being the project to be completely done, completely right, no flaws, no anything. But does everyone have the right intention going into the project? So it's like taking the time to sit down, talk things through, and make sure everyone has the right intention going into it, want to work together. Because like that's a tough part, and everyone has to be on the same page. So you can take this into any setting, anywhere you are, school, work, home.
The dangerous part, I think the most dangerous element of having an expectation is that you inevitably will be let down because the why isn't in the expectation. So, for example, if you are single and you really want to get married, you really want to have a family, probably there's an expectation there that once I'm married, I won't be lonely anymore. And so that's my expectation. That's why I want it. I want to get married. I want to have kids because then I'll have something to pour my heart into. I won't feel aimless. I won't feel lonely. Let me tell you, as a married woman with 4 children, that I still get lonely sometimes. I still feel unfulfilled sometimes. I still feel a lack of direction and like what am I doing? You know, having a husband and having children does not meet the expectation that I will never be lonely again. So that can be put you in a situation of like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was. Why did I want this? Now I don't feel that way. But that was not my expectation around marriage. But if it was, then now that I'm married and I'm still feeling lonesome sometimes, lonesome. That's such like an old lady. My grandma always said lonesome. Still feeling lonesome, then I might question why I did it in the first place. So
Mm-hmm.
if instead you ask yourself, I really want to get married, and you're like, but why? Why do I want to get married? I'm not even dating someone right now. Then and you can easily find that, oh, it's because sometimes I'm lonely and I think this will fix my problems. But guess what? I can quote unquote fix that problem right now. I'm not even going to get into the fact that it's okay to be lonely sometimes, but like there are ways to lean into it. It's the same thing people do with like, I want to make a lot of money. You're like, that's great. I'm all about it. Okay. But if the expectation is once I have money, then I will be happy, you're going to be disappointed. right? So it sets you up for disappointment. And also, Lauren, let's talk about what, since we're talking about money and setting goals and stuff, like when you when you set goals for yourself,
Yeah.
do they pan out when you're successful in those goals? Do they pan out the way that you think that they were going to
No.
ever?
No, because you never know. Like, you can have this ideal, like, step by step of how you're going to hit success, that end goal, what you're going to do. But I can tell you right now, it is never that smooth. And if it is that smooth, I honestly, congrats. Like, because I have not seen it around many people, even a lot of people I've talked to. It's like, it's a very bumpy road. Okay. You're like, I'm doing great. And then all of a sudden you're like, I'm going to come right back here and I'm going to do a few circles. And you're like, okay, I'm going to go up a little bit. And you do a few more circles and get back. And then you all of a sudden just take off. But then you're going to do like a few circles before you hit that goal. And it's realizing not everything's just going to go exactly as planned. And when you expect that, that's actually what tends to hold you back. And you don't understand, then you get frustrated. It's like everything happens for a reason, but also it's like remembering, like, you can only honestly do so much to hit that goal within the day, or you can only do so much like output in a current situation if you do get stuck. And it's realizing you have to be patient, and if you give all of your power into that one situation where you're at, you're probably going to solve it quicker and get to your goal faster if you're willing to slow down and realize where you're at and what you could be doing to solve the current situation, the little problem we have on the way to our end goal. Solve it, learn from it, and move on. Because you're going to make mistakes, and that's okay, but you have to remember it's never going to just be all the way through. And no one talks about the hard times or the long hours or anything like that, but all of that is what makes it so much sweeter, and you know what you went through to get where you are.
That's a good point. And in that sense, expectations can serve us. Like you can always expect things to maybe pan out differently than you thought that they would. But on the other end of that is, I can tell you the success that I've experienced in my life in every arena. I don't think there's ever been one time where I've gotten there the way that I thought I would. So if I were to set up like very specific expectations for which is sometimes it's important to make a plan, but then be flexible. So that's why intentions can be so powerful here. Because it's like, my intention is to get from here to here, and this is how I think I'll do it. But if you leave yourself open for possibility and don't get so attached to specific expectations of how you're going to get there, more often than not, I have gotten there faster and I've gotten more than I even thought to ask for or to plan for, because our higher power, our guides, our God, or the universe, like, I think we can all agree that there's something out there that knows more than we do, because they see the whole big picture. And sometimes it's hard for us to see, right? So when it's like, this is what I want, and I know that I will get what I want or better. That is my expectation. How I'm going to get there, not important. Now, revisiting the why I want to get there, my intention for getting there, very important, like we talked about, because if you think that this is, you can start living, you can start feeling happiness and joy once you're to this point, you're going to be sorely disappointed. So that's where the joy comes in the journey. And that's why leaning into the intention of like, why am I doing this? And having the intention be something more than just because then I'll be happy. Because if it's happiness, you see happiness is available now. And that can actually help support you and get you to where you want to be. It's just living and loving. That's what life is for. Life is meant to be lived. It's not meant to like be lived in a certain way. It's just meant to be lived really now, always, every step of the way.
Yep. Every moment, here we are. And like Kendra said, you may experience it quicker than you thought, but if you think you have to stick to a certain step by step, you may miss that success and you may bypass it. Maybe you're going to miss networking with somebody that is going to take you to that point. Like, you have to keep your eyes open, your heart open, your ears open, your mind open, all of it as you go through it, because you probably will catch on to more than you're expecting because you set an expectation of only one thing, and keeping all that open to make sure you're getting to where you want, but also enjoying it and learning from it. What happens, let's talk about like giving energy, like when you give your energy to setting intentions, versus creating expectations? What are a few things you're going to notice?
Yeah. So just again to revisit like the difference between expectations versus intentions. Expectations are future oriented and intentions are present oriented. Expectations are outward, like focus on outward responsibility, putting responsibility outside of yourself, whereas intention puts it in here. So a quick example of that is like in a relationship. Like I expect you to know XYZ or to show up a certain way instead of saying, where's my role in this? Where can I help in this? Where am I coming into play? Where my actions coming into play? Um, Expectations lend themselves to certainty, needing to know exactly what's happening, what's going to happen, whereas intentions lend themselves to trust and hope and just believing and like this is what I want and I'm going to just trust I'm going to get what I want or better. When you give your energy to setting intentions versus creating expectations, you avoid disappointment, you keep yourself open for more or better, you feel more accomplished. You tend to because you don't tie yourself to certain things equaling this was good and this worked versus it's all part of the journey. You get more of what you actually want, like a clean home, for example. You focus on what matters most to you instead of what you think you'll get. Okay, you'll focus on what matters most to you by setting your intentions as well. Because money isn't what matters most to us. A clean home isn't what matters most to us. The intention behind that is what matters the most to us. And that will really buoy us and lead us, like I said before. So, lots of reasons to focus more on our intentions versus our expectations. If you guys have any more questions about what that means or what that might look like, if you have a specific question or example, please always feel free to reach out to us, message us on our Instagram. Our account is the.bloom.podcast, and we're active on there. We'll answer. We love this reason. Our intention behind Bloom with Kendra and Lauren is to help as many people as we can absolutely flourish and live the best lives as their best selves. So we're here for you. That is our episode for today. Lauren, do you have any final thoughts before we send everyone on their way?
Make it a point this week to set intentions for the week and live by those and feel those. And honestly, challenge yourself. If you don't do it now, challenge yourself and set some intentions for the week. Tag us if you guys end up doing them. But other than that, we love you guys and you guys have a good day. So, see ya. Bye.